Tucker is my name. I work for a company called the White Lotus family as an executive. This is mostly due to the fact that I assist my wife, Sammy, in her capacity as head of the White Lotus family. It is not widely known, nevertheless, that my wife is the head of the White Lotus family. Her status is only known to a select few. Nobody would think that the White Lotus family's alleged powerful leader is actually a woman. Sammy received an invitation to someone she knows' wedding today, so we decided to go together. I eventually located my wife's name card when we got to the venue and began perusing the seating map. Ugly Fat Pig was scribbled on it by someone. Oh no. Who would act in this manner? Unforgivable. Frustrated, I balled the card in my fist. Stop being so upset. There's nothing to worry about. We can't make a scene because it's someone else's wedding today. As she sat down, Sammy stated coolly, "Just let it go." A man walked up to us, grinning, as she sat down. "A lonely seat like that suits you," our old friend Mickey commented. Sammy had known him since high school. The women at his table were all very attractive. It was true. "Well, it appears that you were also invited. Proceed with your daily activities. You don't have to tell me." "What? Are you simply going to dismiss me in that manner? How can you possibly attend a wedding in this manner? You're completely unwelcome here. You ought to simply depart prior to the commencement of the ceremony." Mickey became even more annoyed by Sam's uninterested attitude, and everyone else chuckled with him. I thought to myself, looks like I'll have to shut him up, as I was about to intervene when Sammy intervened. "I'm all right. For today, let's simply ignore this. If you're too scared to fight back, then don't start acting tough in the first place," Mickey said. "By the way, that name card you received was written by myself. How do you feel about it? Isn't it ideal for someone like you?" "Why would you do something like that?" I inquired. "My spouse is not afraid," I answered. "She just doesn't think you're worth responding to." "Are you her husband, then? Thus, you and someone like you was able to marry. Well done on being picked up. But to marry someone like her, Guy, you must have terrible taste. And to accept a loser like you must be a sign of her poor judgment. If you keep being disrespectful, we'll have to take action. What makes you so determined to attack my wife? Do you harbor resentment for her? With what menace are you threatening me? What do you believe you are capable of doing? Try me out, please. I've never been fond of her. Always staring down on me and maintaining a cool demeanor. When I was back in school, she even made me feel humiliated. I've detested her and wanted to put her in her place ever since. I believed it would be ideal to give her a small surprise when I found out she was going to this wedding. You haven't changed at all. Have you, holding onto something from so long ago? It's pitiful of you to act this way at your age, Sammy said. What were you saying? You'll regret it if you don't monitor what you say. Now, do you know who I am? I belong to the Mafia. I can make you vanish if I get serious. Do you truly wish to maintain that mindset with me? So you're a Mafia now? You're correct. Oh, you must be afraid. It won't be just me if you cross me. You may also be pursued by my supervisor and his team. To be honest, though, I don't even require them. I'm capable of managing you on my own. Mickey exuded confidence in his new persona. He had been drinking, and he was inebriated. He became increasingly insulting to my wife. Hey, why don't you pour me a drink? Maybe I'll even drink with you if I feel like it. Or are you saying you're not up for it? Mickey laughed as he placed his hand on Sammy's shoulder. What do you think you're doing? You've had too much to drink. Get away from my wife and step back. You'll regret this if you don't stop. The weakling husband thinks he can scare me? Do you really think I'm going to back off because of you? Do your worst, but it won't work on me. Mickey laughed as he bashed my shoulder. This isn't your event, is it? The ceremony is about to start, so could you calm down? Don't act so familiar with me. Who do you think you're ordering around? You're only this confident for now, but you'll regret it soon. Nobody here is on your side. What can you possibly do? Mickey's harassment didn't let up. Please stop this. I don't want to cause trouble for the people here. You're here to celebrate too, aren't you? If you really want to settle this with me, we can arrange a time later, but not today. What? I don't have time to waste on someone like you. I'm not here for the wedding. I paid for this so I can do whatever I want. Look at your shabby clothes. Isn't that more disrespectful than what I'm doing? Why don't you ask the beauties here? Ask them what to do. No matter what you wear, you'll always look miserable. You're crossing the line. Enough is enough. I'm fine. I can handle it. Just stay quiet. That's right. Stay quiet and do as I say. If you understand, answer me. Come on, answer. Why are you letting him get away with this? Nobody in the venue knew that Sammy was the leader of the White Lotus family. While she remained composed as a true leader would, I found myself nearing my breaking point, frustrated by Mickey's relentless provocation. If I reveal that Sammy is the leader of the White Lotus family, he'll definitely shut up. No question about it. But that would cause a huge scene. I can't ruin this wedding. What should I do? What's with the silence? Do you get it now? If you understand, get down on your knees and apologize. Say, I'm sorry for being so insolent towards someone like you, and say it loud. Miss Saxon, shall we leave? Yes. Realizing there was no point in reasoning with this guy anymore, I whispered to my wife, and she seemed to agree. Remember this well. I'll make sure you regret this. It's too late for any apologies now. Get ready for what's coming. Oh, still talking. Tough. What's this? Finally deciding to leave. Just as my wife and I stood up and were about to exit the venue, an unexpected figure walked in. This person, who had overheard everything, seemed determined to drag Mickey straight into hell. As we reached for the door, it opened before we could touch it. Standing there was someone Mickey clearly didn't expect to see, Molly. What are you doing here? Standing in the doorway was Molly, Mickey's girlfriend. She ignored his attempt to address her and ran straight to my wife. Miss Saxon, it's been so long. I've missed you, Molly said, approaching my wife and hugging her with familiarity. Hey, don't mention here that I am the leader. It's fine. I'll make sure to remind everyone to keep their mouths shut when this is over. Anyone who can't follow that will be dealt with, Molly whispered to my wife as she embraced her. Molly, why are you ignoring me? What's going on here? Don't talk to me so casually, you life mafia. Mickey was visibly confused, unable to comprehend why Molly was acting so differently. Her demeanor was completely unlike the Molly he thought he knew. What's with the attitude? You're acting like a completely different person. Yesterday you were normal. Did I do something wrong? He asked. The same was true for Mickey. His attitude was as different as it could be. That's funny. This is the real Can. I heard all the annoying crap you've been spouting earlier, Molly said with a laugh. Annoying crap? What are you talking about? Oh, don't even try to deny it. Acting all innocent now. You've been pretending this whole time, haven't you? The way you were talking earlier, that's the real you, right? Pathetic. What are you talking about? Are you misunderstanding something? Anyway, do you know Sammy? She and I are classmates. Right, Sammy? After all his insults toward my wife, Mickey shamelessly tried to act friendly again. Classmates, sure, but that's all it is. Don't go acting friendly and using my name so casually. What? Who do you think you're talking to? Mickey's patience snapped, and he revealed his true colors. His irritation was evident. Oh, are you sure you want to keep acting like that? Do we even know who she really is? You're playing with fire, Mickey. You'll regret it. What do you mean? I don't understand what you're saying. Are you sure it's okay to reveal this here? Yes, it's fine. Molly will ensure everyone here keeps their mouths shut. There's no use hiding it anymore. Are you really sure? Once I say it, it'll be over for you, Mickey. Ha! I'm a mafia member. Like I'm going to flinch at some ordinary person. An ordinary person. This woman is Miss Saxon, the leader of the White Lotus family, the legendary leader. You've picked a fight with the wrong person. Hearing this, every mafia in the room turned pale. The leader of the White Lotus family. You're telling me it's her, not her husband. Mickey collapsed at his knees in shock. What's the matter? Weren't you the one who wasn't going to flinch? Pathetic. Are you scared now? This can't be. I always thought the leader of the White Lotus family was a man. Barely anyone is supposed to know their true identity. Are you planning to get rid of me now that I know? Trembling, Mickey asked my wife. If necessary, yes, I replied calmly. My composure only made Mickey more panicked. So, who are you then? Are you just some ordinary guy? Me? I'm pretty much just a regular person, though I'm currently supporting my wife as an executive in the White Lotus family. Wait, why is Molly connected to that woman? Your ages are different, and there's no way an ordinary person could know Miss Saxon of the White Lotus family. And since you got here, you've been nothing like the Molly I know. You better stop calling her that woman right now. Molly grabbed Mickey's hair and shook his head violently. Hey, what are you doing? Let me go. This woman saved my life. She is someone I deeply respect. So, if anyone insults her or makes fun of her, I might take some action, Molly said with a chilling smile, right in front of Mickey's face. Where's the Molly I know? Did she brainwash you or something? This isn't you, Mickey stammered, trying to divert the conversation. His bravado from earlier was now completely gone. Stop with this ridiculous act already. It's pathetic and makes me sick. Do you plan to keep pretending and hiding your true self just to keep someone like her? Shut up. Who do you think you're talking to? The leader of the White Lotus family. So what? All that legend nonsense is just a rumor, right? I bet you're just riding on your husband's protection while you're nothing but dead weight yourself. Mickey's frustration boiled over, unable to tolerate my wife's composed demeanor. But as quickly as he lost control, he tried to compose himself, fearing he'd lose face in front of Molly. If Molly sees me like this, everything I worked for to get her to marry me will go up in smoke. I can't let that happen. Mickey, what do you mean by the Molly I know? I've told you, this is the real me. Did you really think I didn't see through you? I heard everything. I'm here today to celebrate a friend's wedding, but you're ruining a special day with your nonsense. Let's step outside. This isn't the place for this, and you're disturbing everyone. Ruin the day. I had no such intention. And what do you mean you heard everything? What are you talking about? Ignoring his attempts to justify himself, Molly grabbed him by the collar and dragged him into a nearby waiting room with us. Now then, what were we talking about? Oh yes. Are you seriously going to pretend you don't know? If I can somehow get this woman to marry me, I'll have access to her family's money. Her family's rich, and once I bled her dry, I'll divorce her. Care to explain that? Molly pulled out a voice recorder and played the incriminating audio. What is this? Fake. Someone's trying to frame me. Molly, I'm your boyfriend, right? You believe me, don't you? Boyfriend? Excuse me, we're not even dating. I thought you were delusional, but to actually think we were together. You seriously believe that? Do you think I'd choose someone like you? Don't flatter yourself. I only stayed close to you for my own purposes. It was obvious you had ulterior motives, so I played along. What? You tricked me. Tricked you? Don't make it sound so dramatic. Oh, and in case you've forgotten, let me remind you again. This is the leader of the White Lotus family. You won't just be out of the syndicate. You're done for. It's over. Exactly. I tried to let it slide because this was a wedding, but you've crossed the line. You insulted me to my face, and now you'll pay. Prepare yourself. Wait. What's going on? I don't understand. Was this all a setup to take me down? Did you plan this from the start? Ha! Don't flatter yourself. The world doesn't revolve around you. Your insults were unexpected, sure, but I endured them for the sake of not causing a scene. I was about to leave quietly when Molly showed up at just the right moment. Call it divine intervention, maybe. Then, if I hadn't messed with you, none of this would have happened. Maybe so. Damn it, you've always had to have the last laugh. If you hadn't come here, none of this would have happened. You always ruin everything for me. You're pathetic. I said, my patience finally snapping. I grabbed Mickey by the collar and started choking him. Ow. Stop. Let go of me. See, you're the reason why people say she's invincible, right? Stop. I can't breathe. Wrong. If you think I'm the strong one, you're mistaken. My wife is in a league of her own. Want her to deal with you. She'd crush you in an instant. With that, I landed several punches square on Mickey's face. For all your big talk, you're nothing. You're not even worth my time. Pathetic. You really are weak, and you call yourself a mafia. I hate weak men. Just so you know, none of this was a coincidence. I've been investigating you. That's why I approached you, and you fell right into the trap. You thought you'd marry me for my father's wealth? As if. You're not even in my league. I hate men like you. Get lost. Everyone's looking down on me. Screw this. If it's come to this, I don't care anymore. Mickey, in a fit of rage, grabbed Molly by the neck, holding her hostage. Ha! What do you think you're going to do to me? What are you going to do now? If you don't kneel and apologize to me, this woman's going to pay. Hurry up. Kneel. Mickey, do you really think this is a good idea? You should worry about yourself. Something much worse is coming for you. What? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Are you scared? Miss Staxon, don't even entertain this fool. The one we're waiting for should be here any moment now. What? Who's coming? At that moment, the door to the waiting room opened. A man stood there, and Mickey's face froze in horror. What now? Who is it this time? Mickey tried to maintain his composure, but his voice betrayed his panic. Long time no see. Why does Mr. Kid himself here? Mr. Kitch. What the hell? What's going on here? Who is he? What? You're a mafia, and you don't even know Mr. Kitch, the leader of the Blue Wolf Syndicate. How the hell are you even managing to survive in this world? Ignorance is terrifying. The leader of the Blue Wolf Syndicate. That's a huge organization, isn't it? What the hell is happening today? Mickey was drenched in sweat, visibly panicking. So what if he is? What difference does it make? What are you doing with my daughter? Get your filthy hands off her now. Daughter? Don't tell me Molly's father is the leader of the Blue Wolf Syndicate. Exactly. Seizing the moment of distraction, Molly grabbed Mickey's arm and flipped him over her shoulder in a clean judo throw. You? What the hell? Since when could you do judo? Given my family, I was taught self-defense. Now, what's your plan? Huh? You've got some nerve messing with my daughter and insulting the person who saved her life. Are you ready to face the consequences? Consequences? What are you talking about? You didn't think you'd get off scot-free, did you? The more we dig into your background, the filthier it gets. It's time we straighten out that rotten attitude of yours. As he spoke, several large men dressed in black entered the room. What now? Mickey tried to use the commotion as an opportunity to escape, but the men quickly grabbed him. Let go of me. What are you planning to do? The men held him down and began beating him mercilessly. Mickey's screams echoed through the waiting room. This is just a greeting, but we're far from done. The ceremony is about to start, so we'll change the place and take our time deciding what to do with you. Isn't this enough? What more do you want? Ignoring his protests, one of the men knocked him unconscious with a well-placed punch. Molly returned to the wedding hall alone and addressed the crowd, who had mocked my wife. Hey, you all heard the screams, didn't you? Listen up. You're just as guilty for laughing along with that piece of trash. I don't care how pretty your faces are now. Who knows what they'll look like if you don't shut your mouths about what happened here. Forget everything. Erase it from your empty little brains. I'll let you off the hook, but if I hear even a whisper, I'll track you down no matter where you are. Don't think for a second you'll get away with it. The moment you talk, I'll be there. Got it? Grabbing one of the women by the hair, she hissed her warning in her ear. The women were trembling, tears streaming down their faces. Well, are you going to answer me or what? Yes, yes, they mumbled, shaking and sweating profusely. Afterwards, my wife, Molly, Mr. Kit, and I moved to the Blue Wolf Syndicate's office, dragging Mickey along. Hey, wake up. Stop sleeping. Where am I? Welcome to the Blue Wolf Syndicate's office. Why am I here? Let me go. That's not happening. Didn't I tell you if it came to this, you'd disappear? That you know Miss Saxon's identity is a liability for us, right? Miss Saxon. That's right. If we let someone like you walk free, rumors will spread like wildfire. Honestly, I was holding back at the wedding, but now I don't see why I shouldn't finish you off. You insulted me in front of everyone. Surely you're as strong as you claim, right? If you can't even defend yourself, well, you know what happens. Are you ready? Before Mickey could respond, my wife pinned him down and landed punch after punch to his face and stomach. Mickey tried to resist, but her blows landed cleanly, leaving his face a swollen, bruised mess. Impressive. She was the one who stood alone against that large group and saved my daughter. You truly live up to the legend. But you, Mickey, what a disgrace. Are you even a man? And which family do you belong to? She is crazy. The Red Lion family, under Mr. Ackerman. The Red Lion family, I know Mr. Ackerman well. Disrespecting the daughter of one leader and her benefactor. You're as good as excommunicated. Excommunicated? Isn't that going too far? It was just a joke. A joke? You saw my daughter as nothing but a meal ticket. If you were sincere about courting her, that's one thing. But someone like you, get lost. In our world, respect and loyalty are everything. You failed at both. You've been scheming in the shadows too, haven't you? You're a disgrace, and we've uncovered everything. Do you really think excommunication is the worst of it? You're headed straight for ruin. Exactly. I can't stand weak men like you. You're delusional. Good riddance. You messed with the wrong people. We warned you. Damn it, I'm not going down like this. Even if I'm excommunicated, I'll claw my way back. I'll keep coming after you. Oh, still full of energy, are you? Maybe I went too easy on him. Despite his battered face and broken spirit, Mickey still hadn't learned his lesson. My wife grabbed him by the collar, determined to silence him completely. Come on, fight back. Or are you scared? Scared? Hell no. Don't underestimate me. Mickey swung at her, but she dodged effortlessly. Losing his balance, he stumbled, and in a swift move, she tripped him, sending him sprawling to the ground. You're seriously this weak. I'm fighting you in heels, and you can't even keep up. This is pathetic. Oh, and by the way, you haven't apologized yet. Ideally, I'd like you to get on your knees and beg, but I'll settle for a straightforward apology. Go on. She straddled him, tightening her grip on his collar. Can't breathe. What? You got something more important to say, don't you? If you don't start talking, this might just be the end for you. Ah, so still refusing. If that's how you want to play it, I won't hold back. Fine. I'll apologize. Please forgive me. Don't drag it out. Say it already. I'm so sorry. Your voice is still small, but I'll let it slide." She released her grip, and Mickey collapsed to the floor, coughing and gasping for air. "You really got what you deserved. By the way, while you were getting your ass handed to you, I contacted Mr. Oran. Unsurprisingly, he couldn't care less about a lowlife like you being excommunicated. He said your punishment is entirely up to us. He's more worried about the family's reputation than your sorry existence. You've officially been abandoned. No, this can't be happening. Everything I've done up until now, it's all meaningless." "That's right. And just so you know, excommunication isn't the worst of it. You're out of the family, out of a job, and out of chances. Be grateful you're even alive, though we'll see how long that lasts. From now on, you'll be working under the Blue Wolf Syndicate's orders. Consider it poetic justice. You'll be treated the same way you treated others. Remember that." Mickey stared blankly, realizing his life as he knew it was over. He remained silent, his gaze fixed on the ground. "Mr. Kit, thank you for coming all this way, and Molly, thank you too. I wasn't sure what to do, so you really helped me out. Don't mention it. This was nothing. I just happened to be keeping an eye on him, and it led to this. I'm glad I could repay some of the debt I owe you. Still, you've gotten really strong. That shoulder throw was impressive. You even surprised me. I've been practicing, but now I'm training to follow in Miss Saxon's footsteps." They shared a laugh, and the long day finally came to an end. As for Mickey, stripped of everything, he was sent overseas to assist in the Blue Wolf Syndicate's business ventures. Even there, he continued to boast, "I used to be mafia," a claim that earned him nothing but ridicule. His arrogance only made him a bigger target, and he endured daily beatings, a living example of the saying, "Keep your head down." The price of making enemies out of both Miss Saxon of the White Lovis family and Mr. Kit of the Blue Wolf Syndicate was steep. Whether Mickey ever comes to regret his actions remains to be seen. As for me, I continued supporting my wife in her role. Despite the public revelation at the wedding, it seems Molly and Mr. Kit managed to keep my identity under wraps. I'm grateful for their help. They probably scared everyone stiff. Still, I heard there were some idiots who tried to leak the story. It's a huge scoop after all. But I also heard Mr. Kit handled it behind the scenes. Some of those people have disappeared. Of course, I couldn't let such a trivial event expose Miss Saxon. It's all been taken care of, so rest assured, I'll continue to serve you. You're not even mafia. Molly, but I truly appreciate everything you've done this time. And so, the true identity of Miss Saxon of the White Lovis family remained shrouded in mystery. He is merely an inexperienced driver who left high school. Disregard him. What? Richard scowled at what Nancy had said. Comprehensive. We'll terminate all of our agreements with your business. What? Nancy was taken aback by Richard's firm statement. Go now, please. We'll inquire further on the contract's termination. Richard meant business. I was persuaded that he was really going to terminate our contract. Wait a moment, please. Richard was ready to exit the meeting room when I stopped him and gave him my business card. Wait, Will? How come? It has been a long time. Hello, I'm Will Wilson, I said. Richard let out an enthusiastic wow. Richard, who appeared sincere in his happiness to see me, started crying and shouted, So you've come back. I couldn't resist getting emotional as well. I left Nancy completely bewildered and followed Richard out of the meeting room. My name is Will Wilson, and I work for an auto parts manufacturer. About 100 people work for our company, which includes 3 U.S. branches and 1 abroad. Actually, I was in charge of establishing the branch office abroad. I started working at the foreign branch 15 years ago and have been abroad ever since. I was old enough to be promoted to manager at the time, 49 years old. I continued to work as a regular employee, even when my friends were promoted. That's because I had a heavy sense of inadequacy over my school experience. I simply completed middle school. I never attended high school. The oldest of my 4 siblings is myself. My father moved out of our home while I was in my 2nd year of middle school to be with another lady. My mother was not well and would quickly become ill if she attempted to work a full-time job. She was the sweetest lady, though, and prioritized her kids above anything else. It was inevitable that, coming from a household like that, I would begin working rather than attending high school. There were a lot of venues in which middle school graduates could get employment back then. The quantity of laborers and their drive were frequently appreciated more during the time of economic expansion than their level of education. I was hired by an auto manufacturing to work on the production line. This plant was a subcontractor of a subcontractor for a big automaker, but it was close to my house, which was a determining factor, and the compensation was good for the time. I don't remember much about the short entry exam, but I do faintly remember it being there. I was able to get the job, and I spent around 13 years working at the factory. Since I frequently worked nights, I may have had the best pay in the factory. 13 years on, I had to make a decision. I received a job offer from the parent firm, which is currently my employer. I had been working very hard up until that point to pay for my younger brother's college education. But by then, I was beginning to feel exhausted. That was the year of my youngest brother's college graduation. My motivation to work hard was renewed after I transferred to the main business. I joined my current job at the age of 28, and at 39, I received an international assignment. The first few years of living overseas were difficult because of language and cultural hurdles, but I got used to it really quickly. I am appreciative of my wife, Maria, for accompanying me despite the uncertainty of relocating abroad. When Maria and I were engaged, that's when my assignment abroad was decided. Moving to a developing country may have raised some eyebrows, but Maria graciously agreed to accompany me. In addition, Maria delivered birth nearby 5 years after our relocation. Maria is incredibly strong, having gone through childbirth and raising a child in a strange place. Our family of 4 stayed overseas for 2 years after the birth of our 2nd child, and then we all came back to the United States together. When it returned to the United States 15 years later, the company was very different. Although I was stationed at the central office, the majority of my close friends and coworkers were now managers at other branches. Since this organization often doesn't hire recent middle school grads, I didn't have any peers when I first started. I was put in charge of the accounting division. To be honest, I was really perplexed because the work was totally different from what I had been doing. I was wondering why I was in accounting at this point in my life, as I had to learn everything from scratch. The fact that John Taylor, my previous subordinate, worked in the accounting division was something for which I was thankful. John gave me such a warm greeting when I returned from my trip abroad. I never imagined Will would work in our division. It's a pleasure working with you once more. John's enthusiasm calmed my nerves. Being in a department that I was absolutely unfamiliar with caused me anxiety. John, it's a pleasure to collaborate with you once more. I never thought you'd work your way up to manager. John claimed, it's just seniority, that's all. But I knew his abilities were the reason behind his promotion. John always planned ahead and made the appropriate decisions, which helped him always place highly in sales even when we were coworkers. Though I was older than John, there were several occasions when I felt he might outperform me. John's promotion to manager was therefore inevitable. I take it that the department head is away on business. Did she not join through mid-career recruitment? Given that she joined after I did, I think I missed her. Nancy Miller, the head of the accounting department, is 48 years old, making her 6 years my junior. I've never met her because she joined the company shortly after I was sent overseas. However, someone has to be exceptionally talented to be promoted at such an early age. Yes, a business trip, I guess. I cocked my head in response to John's ambiguous response. How come he was acting so evasive? Isn't she on a business trip? It's a business trip, but in a whisper, John said, I'll elaborate later. There seemed to be some conditions around Nancy, but I didn't understand. Though I had to concentrate on learning my work, I was interested. I sat at my desk with that thinking. After being assigned to the accounting department for 3 days, I was beginning to understand the daily responsibilities. Nancy finally returned to the workplace after her business trip. She entered the room wearing what appeared to be an ostentatious suit, bright red lipstick, and long black hair that fell to her waist. She appeared to be a very successful professional woman. I welcomed her, saying, I'm Will Wilson, recently assigned here. Oh, you're that guy, Nancy remarked, laughing through her nose. The moron who left high school early. Was he really so useless that they shipped him abroad? Having so much dead weight in my department is the worst thing ever. Nancy told me something that I couldn't believe. That was definitely not the appropriate thing to say to a complete stranger. Furthermore, I wasn't demoted for my abroad assignment. Chan spoke up and said, Excuse me, Nancy, with all due respect, Will wasn't sent overseas because he was incompetent or foolish. I was a little relieved to see John's cheeks flush, because I knew he often did that when he was really pissed up. Nancy, you do know what will accomplish overseas, right? What? I'm not sure. Why should I be aware of an employee's actions? She seemed to me to epitomize the word arrogant. She was undoubtedly very proud of herself and thought she was the best. He was sent to that impoverished, dusty developing nation after all. A demotion is the only possible explanation. In fact, the developing nation to which I was posted was home to individuals who lived in nearly collapsing, dust-covered cottages in the countryside. But I was living in the capital, which wasn't all that dissimilar from an American little city. Convenience stores and an American school were present. Although there was a noticeable wealth disparity, the adage, home is where you make it, proved accurate, and the generosity and friendliness of the locals really benefited my family. Nancy, the country is not as horrible as you believe. There are lots of American visitors and the food is excellent. Above all, the folks are friendly. That just seems like the lame excuse of a sore loser. It must smell awful too. That nation has a bad reputation. Everyone in the room felt she had overreached herself. John appeared as though he would leap at her. Nancy, you ought to go to that nation. Once you experience it for yourself, it's incredibly pleasant. Nancy seemed taken aback by my composed reply, perhaps anticipating a backlash. John shot me a beseeching look like he was trying to say, Please stand up to her more, but I was not going to say anything. Yes, that was over the top, but she didn't have to go that far. But I didn't feel furious. Although I don't think she intended good, everyone has different morals. Permit anyone who chooses to speak to do so. You spent 15 years overseas, and I was curious about your personality. It seems like all you are is a coward. You get it. Please try not to bring us down. Since I'm in charge here, everything I say stands. I appreciate any guidance you can offer, I said. Nancy gave a quick tongue click and turned to leave. Nancy called me the following day to invite me to a business meeting. I'll teach you directly because it appears that you don't understand anything about accounting work. You know, we are in fact in commercial negotiations. You handled one last, say, 15 years ago. Since it's likely that you've forgotten by now, let me to demonstrate. She looked anxious to brag about something, but to be honest, I don't think there's much more to learn about business negotiations at my age. John had said yesterday that Nancy was always strutting her stuff, whether it was her new hair color, nails, or accessories. He claimed that if you give her credit for whatever it is that she is bragging about, she would be happy and easier to get along with. Jan expressed this with a frustrated expression, not realizing that her colleagues shared this opinion. Nancy started talking about her previous experiences negotiating. I nodded and said something like, I see, that's impressive, or you're amazing. Nancy led me to a client of ours, a car manufacturing business that has been a longtime partner. They were a significant customer of ours, buying big quantities of the parts we produced. This manufacturer will employ our parts in their new automobile engine production. The price is the reason we're here. Obtaining a long-term contract is my goal. Well, the transaction is assured while I'm here. Although I didn't know where her confidence came from, I said, I see. There shouldn't be too much difficulty in the negotiation if the contract was already decided. A man my age entered the meeting room where Nancy and I were waiting. Thank you for coming to see us, Richard. Thank you for your time. No issue. Nancy, it's a pleasure to have you here. It would have been Oak with the regular representation. When Richard said this, Nancy grinned happily. Still, it was obvious that he intended for Nancy to stay away. Nancy was undoubtedly bothersome to Richard as well. Since it's a significant event, I must initiate it. Who is this, and how? Richard turned to face me as he attempted to change the topic. Nancy stopped me just as I was nodding and about to give her my business card. Oh, don't worry about him, the woman remarked. He is merely an inexperienced driver who left high school. Disregard him. Richard scowled at what Nancy had said. What do you mean by that? He's a useless employee who joined us in the middle of his career and dropped out of high school. After serving a 15-year demotion overseas, he was just assigned to our team. It is inconvenient. Nancy's awful comments were presumably the subject of Richard's "what do you mean?" question, but she persisted in talking about utterly unrelated topics. Nancy didn't see that Richard's expression hardened as he listened. Nancy, do you really mean what you're saying? What is meant by the word serious? Since I don't enjoy jokes, I always say what's on my mind. After hearing Nancy's reply, Richard sighed deeply. Comprehensive. We'll terminate all of our agreements with your business. Nancy was taken aback by Richard's firm declaration. You're joking. Since I dislike jokes as well, I always express my opinions. Someone who handles their subordinates that way is not someone I want to do business with. There was absolutely no smile in Richard's eyes. He appeared truly disdainful. Hold on, I was only expressing the truth. He was sent overseas for a demotion and is actually a real high school dropout. Are you really that interested in education? To be clear, my brother did not even complete high school, and I simply completed my education. It was normal practice back then to begin working after middle school. The emphasis on education was not as great as it is now, and attending college was out of reach for those without money. Many gifted individuals never attended high school or college. When Nancy saw that Richard's sibling had also completed middle school, her face went pale. Considering the size of Richard's company's orders, terminating the contract would be a serious setback for our business. Go now, please. We will get in touch with you to discuss our contract's ending. No, wait. Richard started packing up his supplies without even glancing at the dumbfounded Nancy. Richard meant business. I had no doubts that he was sincere in his intentions to terminate our agreement. My head hurt when I saw Nancy question Richard, "Why are you so angry?" How on earth could she not know this by now? Prior to passing judgment on the educational backgrounds of others, she had to focus on honing her own comprehension abilities. Richard appeared to be frustrated by her inquiry and appeared to feel the same way. We are not going far by talking to you. We will be moving our business elsewhere because we can obtain the products we require from other vendors. Wait a moment, please. Richard was ready to exit the meeting room when I stopped him. I abruptly intervened, frightening Nancy, who said, "You stay quiet." Disregarding her, I gave Richard my business card. The card was newly printed this morning, and it was brand new. When Richard noticed the name printed on it, his eyes grew wide as he took it in a perplexed manner. Wait, Will? How come? It has been a long time. I'm Will Wilson. Richard gave me a warm greeting and said, "Wow. It has been a while. Will, you appear well." Yes, I appreciate that. Richard, I'm shocked to see you in a managerial role. Richard gave me a hearty pat on the shoulder. "You're the impressive one." "So, you're back," he remarked with a sincere smile and sad eyes. I couldn't resist getting emotional as well. Nancy said incoherently as she stood there, "Ah." However, we disregarded her. I had so much catching up to do with Richard. "Ah, what kind of relationship do you two have?" Nancy chimed in. "Do you remain here? Simply walk out. I would like to speak with Will." Quite the opposite of his previous demeanor, Richard answered Nancy's question with a stern smile. His icy demeanor nearly brought Nancy to tears. "Regarding terminating the agreement, we will sign any agreement if Will is our agent. However, Nancy has been barred from our organization. I'd rather not see your face. Just get out of there fast." "No way." Nancy gave a gasp. Richard joyfully said to me, "Tell me about your time overseas," ignoring the puzzled Nancy. "I take it that you haven't had lunch yet. Let's head to the food." "What's going on?" As Richard and I exited the conference room together, Nancy muttered in complete confusion. Richard and I had a fancy steak lunch that day. We had a good chat about my experience abroad, but lunch was too short to address everything. "Come on, let's grab a drink," Richard said. "I want to hear so much," as he waved goodbye. John greeted me with a concerned expression as soon as I entered the office again. "Has Nancy had any incidents?" She departed early after returning obviously upset. John grinned and said, "Well, that's convenient for me." This made me smile. There were a few problems throughout the talks, Riley. Perhaps it's best for her to experience some sadness. "Well, I suppose so," John acknowledged with a nod. To be honest, Nancy said some really inappropriate things during the negotiation. Not just Richard, but anyone would have been offended. I went back to work, thinking that tomorrow might be a little unpleasant with Nancy. Nevertheless, Nancy failed to show up for work the following day. If there was no communication, the absence was deemed unjustified. I was wondering if she had been in an accident or something that prevented her from getting in touch with us. But Nancy was still nowhere to be found at the end of the day. Nancy was back within 2 days. Despite notifying anyone, she showed up for work unapologetic and as if nothing had happened. She should at least say something to John, who had done all the work, even though I didn't mind if she didn't say anything to me. "Nancy, can I talk to you for a moment?" John inquired. He was speaking to her in front of all the staff members. Everyone was interested to hear what he had to say. "What? Are you having issues?" Nancy lost her temper. "Nothing from me, please. Whether you are here or not has no bearing on the work I conduct. Still, the boss has to speak with you. As soon as you arrived, he invited you to come to his office." With a frustrated sigh, Nancy said, "What a hassle." How she could have such a negative attitude in this scenario was beyond me. It was presumably because of her unexcused absences that she was in trouble when she was called to the CEO's office. "It's all your fault," Nancy said with a tongue click and a scowl before heading out of the office. I got an internal call about an hour later. "Will, can you come to the CEO's office for a moment?" It was the CEO, appearing worn out. I was discouraged when I heard someone yelling in the background and realized it was Nancy. "Understood. I'll be right there." John, who had overheard, said, "Sorry about this," with concern. "Are you going to the CEO's office?" "Yeah, the CEO seems disturbed, and I heard Nancy yelling. I'm on my way over." With excitement, John answered, "I'll come with you." I think he was concerned about me. John accompanied me to the CEO's office since I couldn't come up with a reason to decline. Nancy was shouting hysterically as we got closer, and John and I looked at each other. Nancy was still screaming at the CEO, who was sitting there looking completely weary when we walked in. "John, are you all right? You're also present. Kindly take action against her," the CEO begged. "My head feels like it's going to split." The phrase "do something about her" is confusing. "I'll be the next CEO's sweetheart," Nancy exclaimed in a strident manner. Nancy's revelation startled John, who turned to face me. "That's not true, right?" I said the words, "It can't be," in shock. John smiled sardonically and nodded. "She hasn't been coherent for some time now." John said, "Even my dog makes more sense." The CEO exhaled deeply, appearing exhausted. "I'm gonna be the next CEO's girlfriend, I swear." "How are you going to fire me?" "Who is the next CEO, in your opinion? Since I am the one doing it." Nancy let out a cry. Nancy heard my comments and immediately stopped ranting, asking, "What are you talking about?" with a flick of her eyes. "I'm going to be this company's next CEO. I'm returning to help with the transition as the current CEO is departing in 5 years." "Stop being absurd. The VP will be the next CEO," Nancy shouted. The vice president had a bad reputation for being inept. He gained access through relationships and was a relative of one of the executives. With nothing to do, he was assigned to the vice president role, a well-known reality in our organization. Nancy seems to be talking about being his girlfriend, but I seem to recall that he has a wife and children. "There's no way we let someone who can't do anything become the CEO," I replied quietly. "But the VP has a college degree, right?" Nancy's face twisted in desperation as she implored. The CEO let out a frustrated sigh. The vice president's family's money allowed him to enroll in a mediocre university. He played around for 4 years. What use does a degree like this serve? Will, on the other hand, put in a lot of work for his family and joined his corporation right out of middle school. He is far more worthy. John gave a firm nod. "But still, a college graduate is better than a middle school graduate," Nancy replied. "It's likely that you are unaware, but our admission exam is rather challenging. It measures raw intellect by testing logical and numerical reasoning in addition to academic knowledge." The vice president was far from passing. The CEO remarked with a sour face, "We just hired him because of his connections." I was aware of Will. A highly skilled and diligent middle school graduate was employed at the factory. We chose to hire him based on the manufacturing manager's recommendation. Will did remarkably well on the entrance exam. I was working 12 hours a day at the time, with 2 days off each month. I had pleaded for longer hours because I needed the money to help my brothers pay for college. My efforts must have been noted by the manufacturing manager. Since joining our organization, Will has put in a lot of effort. I knew I wanted Will to be our branch manager when we chose to open one abroad. Despite his recent marriage, I thought he was the ideal candidate for this kind of responsibility. Without a doubt, Will was the sales department's shining star. I could see how extraordinary he was, even if I was always in second. I was given the abroad assignment since the organization had high standards. It was intolerable to fail. Everyone was aware that the company's future would be greatly impacted by the foreign branch's performance. Setting up shop abroad wasn't simple. The people there mistreated me, threw rocks at me on a regular basis, and would purposefully only communicate in their language to express how much they detested me. But even so, I never planned on going back to the United States. I was resolved to meet and exceed the expectations of the entire corporation that entrusted me with this task. Maria's support by my side was also a major influence. I was committed to seeing this project through to the end. It was only natural for me to have different values and ways of thinking from the natives. Our upbringing was in utterly dissimilar cultures. That's why you never seemed to get upset with Nancy. As a result of that encounter, I gave John's statements a nod. While I went abroad, I heard a lot of nasty comments, yet getting upset over tiny things wouldn't solve the problem. In 5 years, we'll open the branch, and he stayed on for 10 more. The local staff now respects the American workers and works hard. That's because Will established a positive rapport with them. When I saw that, I realized Will was the sole candidate to succeed me as CEO. When I learned that I would be the new CEO, I was shocked. It was honorable as well as unexpected. I received the impression that my efforts had been noticed. Both inside and outside the company, Will enjoys a large following. Making the transition from middle school graduate to CEO is like something out of a play. Will has a lot of admirers, including Richard. When I worked in sales, he was one of my customers. He was quite supportive, but also apprehensive when I received the abroad assignment, even though he had treated me very well before. As he listened, the CEO nodded in agreement. It is therefore very forbidden to disparage Will in front of Richard. Richard still exudes anger. He suggested that we fire you, Nancy, when he called this morning. Why am I the one getting fired? For the first time, I realized why Nancy had been summoned to the CEO's office. Even if Richard's comments alone would make it difficult to fire her, her previous unexcused absences and her involvement with the VP were additional problems. We have been serving Richard's organization as a big client for a considerable amount of time. I've heard that you spoke to him harshly at times. Nancy attempted to justify herself. I was just stating the facts, but she trailed off as she saw her situation getting worse. You weren't performing the majority of your manager responsibilities, I've also heard. Has John not been filling in for you? As he said, the CEO sighed. Over the preceding 3 days, I'd heard that Nancy's subordinates had John double-check everything before gaining her sign-off, because she was so prone to errors in her approvals. Nancy was essentially a symbolic person. The executive meeting is where your fate will be determined. For too long, you got your way. Be ready for the proper repercussions. No, hold on. I've had a lot of stuff to do. This is excessive. Nancy spoke with tears in her eyes. But I wasn't sure what precisely she had been putting a lot of effort into. She spent much of her time having an affair with the VP and hardly worked at all. It was discovered that she had taken a vacation with the VP in lieu of her recent business trip. There would be repercussions for her as well. Nancy doesn't seem to be doing a very good job at her job. It doesn't seem like much of a purpose to acquire a degree if it means becoming like her and the VP, to be honest. John laughed at what I had said. Nancy, flushed, said nothing. She was not going to recover. All right, that brings an end to our conversation. I'm sorry to call you in, Will John. Now you may resume your work. Nancy, wait until your sentence is decided before coming to the office. Nancy was distraught after hearing the CEO's stern statement. John and I ignored her and walked out of the CEO's office. It was then agreed that Nancy would be let go with cause. The primary causes included her harsh comments to staff members, her unexcused absences, her conduct during negotiations, and her liaison with the vice president. The vice president stated icily that it was only a fling, despite Nancy's claims that she was his major partner. Despite not divorcing him due to the affair, the VP's wife requested a sizable compensation from Nancy. Nancy's awful remarks on her social media were discovered by the VP's wife, who works in the entertainment business. After it was discovered through a disclosure request that Nancy was the source of the remarks, more compensation demands were made. Nancy had lost everything in an instant, was deeply in debt, was unable to pay her rent, and her flat was taken away from her. It's said that she's living almost on the streets these days. Maria and the children adjusted to American life quite fast. The children had never lived in Los Angeles, so I was a little concerned. But they made friends at school and had more life experience than most children their age. As for me, I put forth a lot of effort every day in the accounting department. I work with John as a manager every day because I was brought into this area to gain knowledge of the business's finances before to becoming CEO. Will, you're becoming too proficient at your work. If things continue this way, by next month, you'll be taking on the role of CEO. John has adopted this as his new catchphrase. Every day, he expresses his desire for me to continue working in the accounting department. I don't think he'll be next month, but isn't it hard for you to work with me here? Not at all. The staff think highly of you, more than you realize. After middle school, you put your brothers through college by working at the factory, and now you're slated to become the company's CEO. It's simply too awesome. I've seen that after I returned, the way that employees view me has dramatically changed from before I left. Many colleagues had doubts about my ability to handle the overseas assignment prior to my departure. Still, the foreign branch is already quite profitable, and plans to open another are even being discussed. Everyone looks at me with respect since employee bonuses have increased dramatically, and the CEO openly credits me for this. By the way, it seems Richard's company has proposed expanding our business together. Yes, Richard brought it up explicitly when we just went out to drink. It's a fantastic chance. Richard's announcement that he will take over as CEO of his company startled me. It's not hyperbole to suggest that Richard is in charge there right now. Richard wants to increase our business operations because he has developed a strong liking for me. The CEO constantly setting new goals for me when I was feeling aimless. I will be this company's CEO in 5 years. I'm going to use every resource at my disposal to keep every employee safe.